Hi everybody, and welcome to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. On this video, it is just a one story video from the subreddit Relationship Advice. So if you want to get started with the stories, then just use the timestamps below the video. Now I'd like to thank all of you that support me through different ways, like being YouTube members or Twitch subscribers or even donating during the live streams. Thank you so much for your support. And if this is the first time watching one of my videos and you like it, then consider subscribing to the channel and joining us on Discord. Now let's get started with today's stories. This post is from the subreddit Relationship Advice and it's from user throwaway92671. My female 30s friend, female 30s, is addicted to video games. All she does is play video games, and now she is making her child do nothing but play video games. My friend plays video games every spare moment she has. Unfortunately, I'm not exaggerating this at all. She does so at the expense of everything else in her life. She neglects to do anything but the basics for her child, has exchanged real-life friendships for in-game friendships, and her games have become her #1 priority above even her child and husband. Now she has started sitting her child in front of video games and having the child play for all hours during the days and evenings. Her child is bright, smart, and clearly wants to do something more with my friend, but video games are the only thing the child gets. There have been a few times when I've been speaking to my friend and I can hear her child in the background saying things like, "Mommy, I'm hungry, I want breakfast." And my friend will tell her child to wait. Mommy needs to finish something in the game first. I'm at a point now where I'm not only worried about the state of our friendship, but also worried for her child's well-being. I don't think she is neglecting her child in the sense of failing to feed or anything like that, but the poor kid basically spends the days tucked away in a corner of the house playing video games and entertaining themselves. Sadly, my friend's husband is no different and spends most of his time on video games. I've tried to talk to my friend in the past about my concerns, and though she has agreed that her gaming is excessive, she always gets defensive and says something along the lines of, "I'm trying to get better, why isn't that good enough?" I'm a gamer myself. I'm not the video games are evil type of person, but her playing is out of control. She works for 8 hours a day, and then games from when she's off work until late into the night. I've even seen her playing during work hours. She works from home. Weekends are spent on video games. How do I approach her about this? It's eating away at me. Watching my friend's life crumble and watching her child pushed aside like that, all for the sake of video games. I know that she's an adult and she can make her own decisions, but as her friend, I feel like not saying something is doing a disservice to her and our friendship. Help. In this case, OP, I think it all comes down to priorities, and apparently your friend is prioritizing video games over everything else, and of course, if you have a family, those are not the right priorities. Now on this case, I am not going to give any more commentary on this particular part or go to the community comments to see what they had to say, because this post is more of a prequel or backstory to the true topic of this video, and that comes with the next 2 posts. So let's continue with that. I posted about a week ago about my friend who is addicted to video games and does nothing else. And I was worried that she was putting her daughter aside, also making her daughter just sit in a corner to play video games all day. Unfortunately, I was right, but the situation is actually worse than I thought. I spoke to my friend about my concerns and she broke down, telling me how much she hates being a mother, wishes she never had her daughter, and how much having a child ruined her and her husband's life. She didn't come right out and say that she's been neglecting her daughter, but we had a very long phone conversation, and as I listened to what she was saying, it became very clear her daughter is not properly cared for. For the sake of keeping this short, here's my dilemma. During our conversation, she asked me if my husband and I would be willing to take her daughter for a while in order for her and her husband to work on their relationship and their lives. Her daughter is the same age as my son. We FaceTime frequently, and they really like each other. Her daughter is also such a sweet little girl, very well behaved, smart, and just all around a very wonderful 4-year-old. However, my friend lives halfway across the country, which means her daughter would be here completely without her parents, and they would not even be able to visit. Also, when I asked my friend how long a while would be, she can't give me a firm answer. She said something along the lines of, maybe just a month or two, maybe longer. It would be so cute if our kids could go to school together. In her province, kids don't go to school until 5, but where I live, they go to school at 4. So it sounds like she intends for me to keep her daughter for much longer than just a month or two. I'm so conflicted. On one hand, having a second kid here to care for would be difficult for me, even though she's well behaved, and I do work 40+ hours a week from home, so I know it would be doubling the work for me. On the other hand, I know that the only family my friend and her husband have out there is her husband's parents, who are much older and not willing to take their daughter at all. I'm sick to my stomach thinking of this poor girl stuck in that house with who knows what going on. My husband and I have been talking about it and we just can't come to a decision. He feels the same as me. Their daughter needs a better, stable living situation, and we can give her that. But should we? Any advice and/or opinions would be much appreciated. I feel like outside perspectives would be very helpful. Thank you. OP, it sounds to me like your friend and her husband are trying to ditch their daughter, which is horrible. And I get that from the information that you gave. First of all, your friend doesn't want to be a mother, apparently, or that's what she said, that she hates being a mom. If the husband is like her, I'm assuming that he hates being a dad as well. This, plus all of the information that you gave us on the previous post, just tells us that this kid is actually being neglected and that they want to get rid of her somehow. Which I think is a horrible notion. Now don't get me wrong, there is nothing wrong with playing video games. And you guys know this because I have a Twitch channel where I play video games. However, there needs to be a balance when it comes to this thing, and you cannot neglect your family, particularly your children, because you want to play video games or finish one thing in a video game before you feed your children breakfast. Your friend is right in one thing. She and her husband need to work on this thing. However, getting rid of their daughter to work on it is not the answer. OP, I absolutely agree with you. Their daughter needs a better, stable living situation. But you taking their daughter is not going to be the solution because they're probably not going to want her back. And then what's going to happen to her? Imagine growing up just knowing that your parents ditched you for video games. That doesn't spell out healthy future to me in any way. I would have a very serious conversation with your friend. And if that doesn't work out, I would probably get authorities involved. What about you guys? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's continue with the community comments to see what they had to say about this. Drunken Monkey 28 says, well, she openly admitted that she wished she never had her child. So if you take her in, there is a good chance it won't be just for a couple of months, more like 14 years. I can't tell you whether you should or not because that is a personal choice. If you decide to take her in, make sure they are paying you. Secondly, expect the little girl to be very sad to be away from her parents and will probably start acting out, so you need to be sure you can handle that. Octolas says, if you know a child is being neglected physically or emotionally, you need to involve CPS. She is not going to come back for her daughter, and what are you going to do if she has another kid? CPS may not arrest her, but this needs to be documented that she is unfit. If she does drop this child off and runs, you don't need her popping up 5 years from now demanding her child back. OP responds, the daughter's basic needs are being met, which means that CPS won't do anything. It's not possible for either of them to have more children, vasectomy and tubal ligation, thankfully. But I'm quickly realizing that I think something legal needs to be in place if we decide to take her daughter, even if it's just for a while. Northumberman says, a 4-year-old might find it difficult to cope with being moved to a new family for a few months. If she's anything like mine, where she'll have a great time for a day or two and then want to see her mom and dad, she probably won't fully understand what's happening and why. After months, she will very likely feel that she's been abandoned by her parents. I appreciate that you want to give her a more stable environment, but I'm not sure that several months with you would be the best way to do that. It sounds like your friend would like you to adopt her daughter. If her child comes to stay for 2 months, be prepared for there to be all sorts of reasons why the stay needs to be extended. If you're open to adopting, start a serious discussion. If not, which would be reasonable and sensible, you probably don't want to agree to look after the child for months. OP responds, one of the scenarios that my husband and I have discussed is the real possibility that they keep finding excuses why their daughter has to stay here longer, and it eventually turns into years instead of just months. My friend told me she does want her daughter back after her husband and her get better together in order to be better parents. I'm not so naive to believe that at all. I know my friend well enough to read between the lines. OP's edit to add. My friend's husband is of the same mindset as my friend. He is currently a stay-at-home dad, not of his own choice, but simply because he lost his job shortly after COVID happened. He cares for their daughter during the day, but has openly admitted how much he hates it. My friend is the one that strong-armed him into having a child, which to me is ridiculous, as my opinion is that you shouldn't allow someone to force you into doing something you don't want. And he has admitted that he doesn't enjoy being a dad. I also want to add that my friend and her husband seem to be addicted to video games and put those over their daughter's needs. An example would be how they refused to get the daughter a new mattress. The one she is sleeping on is over 20 years old, saying that the cost was too high. You can get a single mattress for $100 to $200 at most, but a month later they bought themselves a PS5 each. Just over $1,400 for both. Their daughter is definitely at the bottom of their priorities. Okay OP, now that you've given us those edits and the responses on some of the comments, I know that authorities need to be involved here. This is not right. Their child's basic needs may be met, but there is something that authorities have to do here. This is absolute neglect. Now, this part of my commentary, I've re-recorded it like 20 or 30 times already. I'm not keeping count. The thing is, every time I started, I begin ranting about how these two idiots have done everything wrong and they don't deserve their daughter. And it's just too much hate and I don't want to subject you guys to that. So it's better if we move on with the update to see what OP is going to do. First, I want to say thank you to everyone who weighed in on the original post. A lot of people pointed out things that we had not thought of initially. Also, shout out to r/legal advice. The one person who commented was a world of help. This is longer than I meant it to be, so bear with me. After a lot of consideration and talking to my brother, social worker, works for CAS, my husband and I decided that we would not take the daughter, even for just a visit. It was a very difficult decision to make, and even now I'm not 100% certain it's the right one. We called my friend yesterday, made sure her husband joined on the call, and we laid out all of our concerns and told them both that while they are always welcome to visit as a family, we just can't take their daughter by herself. My friend was very upset. She actually walked away. We were on FaceTime, thought it'd be best to talk face to face as best as we could, and refused to come back to the phone for most of the conversation. Very immature. But I can't say it wasn't expected of her. We talked mostly to her husband, explained our reasons, too many to get into here, and then told them that if they have things they need to work on, they need to work on them as a family unit. I was also very blunt and told them that in no way would we be taking their daughter just for them to live like a child-free couple and spend all of their waking moments playing video games. When my friend did eventually come back to the call, I told her that she has a serious problem with video games and she needs to get her crap together, not just for herself, but for her daughter. I might have been too harsh. I got pretty angry with her at one point. But when she tried to pull the "no one else seems to care about my video game playing" card, referencing the fact that our mutual friends just don't say anything to her about it, I reminded her that I have always been the friend to be honest with her and give her tough love. I told her that she and her husband need to get themselves into therapy and do better, as partners, as parents, and as people. When we hung up after almost 2 hours of talking, I was hopeful that we got through to them and they would start to get it together. This was all yesterday. Today, her sister sent me a message on Facebook to tell me that my friend's daughter will be visiting with her in about 2 weeks for a month or so to spend time with her kids during the summer, and asked if I wanted to plan something with the daughter for a week or two while she was there. I was stunned. My friend's sister, who I'll just call sister from now on, is a single mother with 3 kids of her own. I thought she was still in a 2-bedroom apartment, but just found out that she recently moved to a 3-bedroom house. She posted about it on Facebook, but I honestly hardly go on there at all. I immediately called sister to tell her everything. Sister had no idea that my friend had approached me first about watching her daughter, and when I told sister about everything that happened and about the post on Reddit, read some comments to her, she was pissed. She said that my friend framed it to her that she simply wanted her daughter and sister's kids to spend more time together so that she could know her cousins better, since they're so far apart. I warned sister about everything brought up on Reddit, and by the time we were done talking, she had decided to not have the daughter visit. She must have called my friend and told her all of this, because just about an hour ago I got a screaming angry phone call from my friend telling me I was a horrible friend for doing what I did and for not being there for her when she needed me. I said nothing. I was speechless, and after just a few minutes, she hung up on me. Now I'm sitting here sick with worry about her daughter and unsure of what to do next. I think a call to children's AIDS societies is needed, but beyond that, what do I do? Is there even anything else I can do? I'm lost, guys, and so scared for that little girl. Opie's edit. I will be calling CAS tomorrow and reporting my friend, with the help of my brother. I'm just not sure if there's anything else I can be doing on top of that. And that is all we know regarding this post up until now. I've been waiting for a few days to see if OP updates again before sharing this with you, but she hasn't. So I'm assuming they are now in legal proceedings and that's why she hasn't said anything. Hopefully what she's doing with your brother will work and they can help that little girl. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I certainly did reading them to you. So if you did, then go ahead and give the video a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and become a member of our Discord community that just keeps growing and it is fantastic. And like I said in the beginning of the video, all of the relevant links are in the video description below, so be sure to check them out. And finally, I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to watch this video. It really does mean a lot to me that you guys enjoy this content, so thank you once again. And having said all that, I will see you guys in the next video.